Not great.
Hei, da vil vi gjerne si velkommen, og tusen takk til Bergen Offentlige Bibliotek, som har invitert oss til å ha denne presentasjonen her i dag. En samtale, kanskje vi kaller det for. Vi er altså kunstnergruppen Alt for bra, og vi er her sammen med Gitte Sætre, som er kunstner og curator, og debattredaktør på Kunsthall 3. Så kunstnergruppen Alt for bra, vi arbeider i feltet kunst og politikk. Vi er 3 medlemmer. Det er Branko her, jeg selv som heter Agnes, og en til som heter Oskar, som ikke kan være her i dag. Vårt arbeid tar form av utstillinger, tekst, egenproduserte bøker, ulike former for presentasjoner, diskusjoner og performative arrangementer. Vi startet Alt for bra i 2015. Vi er basert her og i Paris. Vi har vist arbeider på Bibliotek i Paris, på Victoria og Albert Museum i London, på Kode her i Bergen, og så er det vi som står bak foredragsserien Norwegian, som vi har arrangert på Bergen Kunsthall, Danmark, som kanskje noen har vært opp. I dag er vi her for å snakke om et av våre prosjekter, som heter Den Norske Idealstaten. Nå ser en plan her, og svensk produksjon der. Vi begynte å arbeide med Den Norske Idealstaten i 2017. Så vi har vært på med det i 2 år. Idealstaten er som kjent et begrep fra den greske filosofen Platon. Og prosjektet er ikke mindre enn en nyskriving av hans bok Staten sammen med den norske befolkningen. Prosjektet er grovt delt i 2 faser. Den første består av samtaler, forsamlinger, presentasjoner og lesegrupper. Her har vi vært i Kirkenes og i området rundt i Sørlandet. Her er fra Ålvik, ganger. Her er også fra Ålvik. Den her er bygd nå. Nesten. Og dette er fra Levanger utenfor Trondheim. Den andre fasen, den finner sted i atelieret. Der tar vi tak i materialet fra samtalene og produserer kunstverk basert på de. Som våpenskjold for fremtidens idealstat. Som dere kan se eksempler på her. Og så lager vi også faner og tekstilarbeid. Så noe av det materialet har vi allerede vist i utstillinger rundt omkring i landet. Så første del av prosjektet vil avsluttes her i Bergen denne høsten, etter vi har besøkt 13 ulike byer og tettsteder i Norge, fra Kirkenes til Levanger til Kristiansund, med over 80 arrangementer. Neste år så vil vi fortsette å produsere arbeider for utstillingen og reise tilbake igjen til plassen hvor vi har vært og snakket med folk for å vise resultatene av prosjektet. Så spørsmålet vi stiller i samtalen med folk er altså hva er din idealstat? Hvilke visjoner og drømmer har vi på fremtidens samfunn? Og Idealstaten finner altså veien fra kunstinstitusjonene, som er på en måte våres hjem, til ulike steder hvor folk samles, og tilbake til kunstinstitusjoner. Så etter denne korte introduksjonen, så vil jeg gjerne gi ordet til Gitte Sætre.
Tusen takk. Takk for invitasjonen. I will do my questionnaire in English, and because I want to have a conversation also including Franco. And I have actually prepared 3 questions, and maybe one for the audience also, and I have written them down because I want them to be clear and it's also quite abstract, so in order for we all go in the same direction, I will try to stick with the notes. So I will start with saying that when we look around, it's easy to get the conclusion that things går ikke bra. It could have gone much better if we organize ourselves different. The name of your collective is Alt går bra, and the project we are going to talk about is called the Norwegian national state. I know you a bit, so I know that it's not meant as irony, nor do I believe that you think everything will be sorted out by itself, just like that. I have the sensation that your naming points to something that has to happen in order for things to eventually be fine, or at least better. If we are sitting here thinking that, what the hell, it is not it, and we want to participate in the game to make a change, if that is the case, we do have some options. We can ignore it and participate in the profits of the corporate society, the American style, and think short term. Or go for the Chinese style, the state dictatorship that think a little bit longer time span. Or we can work for disruption and revolution toward a tipping point where everything brings our power structure to a collapse. The French philosopher Bruno Latour is talking about yet another position, placing humans inside the atmosphere, into something we know as Gaia, which is an ecological philosophical approach. Am I wrong if I place Alcobra in a more classical and enlightened point of departure? that you believe in the ideology of local democracy, even though you call the project national state. Your sense-making goes through the Marxist rationale, where logos has the ability to change for the better. That you, Al-Qumra, are trying to make us not only think, but also be aware of the past, and remember what has been built up through history. But after your book, Platon, Nation State. So, how do you find this reading of mine? Do you want to comment on this way I placed you, this landscape of option to deal with the situation that is not going so well, in my opinion?
I am. Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's good.
Does it work? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if the best way to proceed is to go from the general to the particular, or from the particular to the general. Your questions and statements, observations are very interesting. And of course, there are a lot of things to respond to. So one thing that I would like to say is that you were talking about Ikebra and Alt-Gorbra and Idealstate. And so we're talking about ideals and good. And you were also talking about us being very interested in history and how we can use history to understand the present and to build the future. And you pointed out that Plato's Republic. And so Plato's Republic is trying to build something that he called Kallipolis. So polis being the Greek city and Kalis being Kalos, being beautiful. And so that's how I can connect our work as artists. That initially aesthetics and art is supposed to be about the beautiful. Plato's Republic is about a beautiful city, the Kalos city. So how can art, through the beautiful, be relevant to society at large? Maybe it's traditions. That's part of the question.
It help you to find beauty then?
Yeah. Big questions.
Very big questions. I think also maybe one thing that is good to say is that in the project itself, even if we are starting with some questions, we might not have any answers ourselves about what kind of organization society is the one. And for us to start thinking about the role of art in society, it's been important for us to also then talk to people, be in conversation. So this is a kind of beginning of talking about society, trying to talk about society in a way that isn't just about the particularities of the city, but we try to kind of think together about and discuss. And that makes us better for hopefully actually what we are doing as artists. We have some, we are in from dialogue, we are not only in the studio.
Yes, you are going out, engaging outside the studio. That's mainly, is that mainly your profession, or do you spend like more time outside than inside, or how is that equation?
Well, in this project, maybe it's a bit 50-50.
50-50. Yeah. The question you ask when you go out is, which society do you wish for? How do you imagine public life to be? And it's a very empowering question that forces us to think, not just complain, but use our imagination, open up and reach beyond our narcissism. But I would like to concentrate this question, the next question, about something that occupies my own artistic practice, namely the act of thinking. And an important reference for me is the political scientist Hannah Arendt. And in her book, The Life of the Mind, Volume 1, Thinking, she talks about compliance, the match between thinking and the ability to see the world. Thus, your own actions from another person's point of view. And that this is like the crucial, it's a crucial chain in order for communities to work healthy. And that the degree of intelligence corresponds to how many other viewpoints you are able to include in your own thinking. And that the consistency of thinking has to do with your ability to explain who you are, why you act as you do. Maybe this is mainly pointing to our individual thinking, what you are doing through the project in the Norske Idealstaten is inviting us into a room with more voices, into a public debate, no? And after more than 82 different events, you have been talking and listening to a lot of people. And now I'm getting to my question, or maybe it's more like a statement that I would like you to comment on, because I believe that the Norwegian national state as a method is a method not only to make other people think, but for yourself to do a parallel thinking along with it. As far as I know, you've never answered your own questionnaires in public, and I'm not going to ask you to do that now either, but I would like you to talk about the art of thinking and the practice of practicing. How this step by step, rock by rock, person by person, group by group, word by word way of working actually is working for you. Do you get a lot of feedback? Do you get drained? What has this meeting with all these people told you? What's the things that you're bringing back to the studio and to your hearts and brain?
So maybe I can make a general remark, and maybe Agnes is better than me to answer that. So the general remark is that we were quite surprised, considering our expectations before we started the project. We tend to always be very optimistic and try to take risks, but we didn't think that we would go to all the places we've been to. So this includes art spaces, but also a range of other very different places. We've been to the churches, to bars, to pubs, to museums, to clubs, and people were very engaged with the question that we asked. And we didn't think that that was going to be the case. We think that questions that have to do with philosophy and politics belong to the political parties or people at the university or some people who know. But we are really astonished with the questions, engagement that we got from people. Also, we read philosophy with people, we read about rhetorics with people, and the answers with responses.
Yeah, also sometimes it's about how you name things. If you say, now we are going to talk about philosophy, or now we are going to engage in an art project, sometimes you set up a barrier. But if you're able to kind of open the door to communication, then it's easier maybe to appropriate the content that hasn't been named in this way. I think that we probably changed quite a lot through the process.
Yeah.
And we have been quite surprised. But I also wanted to touch something else that you were talking about here, because we are also thinking about, okay, how does our role as artists function when we implement this project? What role are we taking, and what role do we want art to have, and how does art relate to politics in the concrete project? And then maybe some of you went to a presentation of Jacques Rancière, French philosopher, who was here in Bergen visiting our series to Bibliotek. He talks about something in terms of the aesthetics of politics and the politics of aesthetics. And when he talks about the politics of aesthetics, which is our field, aesthetics, he says this is relating, let's say, if we want to say it, that's simplified, it is to us as individuals, how we perceive things and how we experience things. He says artists can make the invisible visible, for example, or change the relationships in the hierarchies. But, and the realm of the sensible, let's say. But when it talks about the aesthetics of politics, then it's about forming a collective. So that's the realm of politics is about collective understanding. So in a way, we cannot hope for our project to have a direct political impact if we follow this way of thinking. We can work within the realm that is the realm of art. And for that, it's also very important for us that we are not remaining in this context of the conversation, but it actually turns into artwork, like we saw here.
Yeah.
There is we are let's say, fulfilling our job as artists by creating something that is understood as art, in a sense. Perhaps.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about these Våpenskjold?
Yeah.
What we see here? What they are a result of? Because this is based on the information you've gathered while traveling and talking. And so these have ended up as actual objects.
Yeah, they are paintings on aluminium there, but is they? Not quite. But we have done quite a lot of research on Våpenskjold and heraldry. So we are using the traditions, rules of heraldry here, where the partitions, the choice of color, these things already have speak, let's say, in a way. But the motives you see here are at the right, some from complete one conversation, others are more like several people have been talking about the same thing. So these are very small now, these things, it's a bit difficult to see, but this one you see. So it's taught. It's been interpreted in a very different way, so I think I will leave that little open because it's very funny when people are doing it. This one is a traditional heraldic, or a symbol that is used a lot in heraldry and also in fauna. It's Bibliotek. It's a symbol for society. And here, this is from one single conversation with a person. You probably cannot see it, but it's Noah's Ark. And this was an environmentalist, an older man who had been working and been very concerned with the environment all his life. And he in dialogue because he came up with a symbol. He wanted this symbol in dialogue. So sometimes people are telling us what they would like to see, and other times it's.
But I think that there is some correlate between the format of the weapon show, the idea of state, in the sense that, and what we are proposing as a project. So there are these three components or elements that have maybe a similar structure. So we're talking to Knut Uwe Arntzen, and he was talking about the situationist international that he's specialized in that field. And he was drawing parallels between our work and the work of the situationists, and he was talking about our work as creating situations. We do not consider ourselves at all like situationists. But it is true that we conceive our work as creating contexts. So I see a parallel between this work, the Norske Idealstaten, as creating a context for dialogues and debates, as the coats of arms, the weapon show, they are a context that is, so to speak, universal. Is one weapon show, one form for you or a group of people to express one idea in that format. And then the state is something else that has one format, is sort of one arena for people to play out the story. Call it class struggle, political struggle, financial struggle.
Yeah.
So this will be a little bit of a battlefield of ideas.
It is a battlefield of ideas, and I'm glad you said that sentence, because for me as an artist, when I first heard about your project and I read the Norwegian nation state and that you were working with Våpenskjold, I was thinking like, what the fuck? You know, it's like you get all these thoughts in your head, like nationalism, and why are they working with this really old, archaic stuff? But then, you know, in my first question, I listed up those different ways of dealing with the here and now. And I understand that this is a strategy for you to, first, don't be the artist you expect you to be, which I really like, reading that. And it makes you think. And then you don't fulfill what we first think you are. So it's like you are playing a quite intelligent game. I don't know, do you see that yourself, or?
I see that I hear that. Maybe, I don't know, my first reaction to what you just said is that maybe it's a way to hide that our project is not controversial, that we are not controversial and we do not believe in controversy.
You hiding that?
Yeah, yeah. So maybe by, you know, when you say, wow, this is what, you know.
Yeah.
The truth is that this project is, and we are not controversial. I don't know if that explains, but yeah. So, but for us, art is very important in aesthetics, and we believe that there are actually two art movements that are extremely important because they are speaking a lot about history, about politics, about society. And these two movements are classicism and romanticism. So the main, most important art movements. So a lot of our work explores these two movements. So there are very, very few people today that would be for classicism or would be against romanticism at all. We'd like to question that. So that's the kind of non-controversial side. So romanticism is quite controversial in general. So we are exploring ways of not being so controversial. But anyway.
Yeah, but I think it is quite controversial. But
controversial. We don't want for people to say that we're bourgeois.
No. No, but it's like dressing up and no, it's a game there. But I think that you are your main motives is also based in the love of art and the role of art within society, and in like an expanded way. It's not like art in necessarily as a beautiful sculpture or painting, but it's the presence of the free agency and the notion of awareness of history and time, no? But you are based in Bergen, Norway, and you are based in Paris, France, which is kind of, for me, the opposites. It's like the young and the old. So how do you, if you could say something about the differences, how you meet people here? Is it a totally different meeting point in the way you are greeted within these two different cultural national states?
I think that there is maybe one. I read a piece in the paper today by Gitte Sætre. I don't know if you read this text.
The director of Bergen.
Yeah, the director of Bibliotek, Bergen, where he was proposing to try to make the kind of image of Bergen or the tourist industry of Bergen more about culture and not only about nature. So I think that for me, the biggest difference between here and France is this connection to culture as the foundation of the culture. That we have less of a strong feeling of culture in terms of art and philosophy as a foundation of our existence. We also equate culture a bit more with nature, which is not judgment, it's just a fact.
Yeah, so therefore, if we were to do this project in France, I think it would be much easier to talk to people. In Norway, we had to learn how to approach random people, and how to say that we are artists. But then after you go through that barrier, I don't see a lot of difference between the appreciation of arts from Norwegian people or from French people. We felt in this project very much appreciated as artists, but usually that doesn't happen like the first move. It's like, okay, later on when people start talking to you, and then they are very appreciative of art. So I agree with Agnes that what the director of Kula is saying is very important, how to also bring up that artistic and cultural side. That is as important as the French project art, which is they are just different. One has been more promoted traditionally than another one, but there's no one that is so.
Yeah, again, like I said in the beginning, it's about naming things. When you hit the fastest naming of something that feels like it doesn't belong to me, actually maybe it does belong to me just as much as anybody else. It just feel that this title belongs to somebody else.
But what about within the art scene? I mean, how do the artists look upon you? Do they look upon you as artists, or are you just scientists doing field work and doing politics and I don't know what?
We don't know, we take a union.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting when you start a project as an artist and you spend a lot of time, doing the theory and doing the whole process of making to form a project, and then the alignment of how you are received sometimes match and sometimes it's totally off. And it's quite interesting, and maybe the audience could say something if they have any inputs of how they receive Alt går bra. It would be interesting to hear. Do anybody, are they totally aligned, or is it like what you learned today new? Anybody have followed the project very well? I want to say something? I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's important. Maybe it's not important to be aligned.
I think maybe a little bit what happens in this project is what you pointed out, that there are a lot of things at play, and maybe what you perceive at the first instance is not what you perceive if you look at closer.
Yeah.
I think it's also very interesting when it's controversy or not, because maybe it's one thing that is perhaps a little bit controversial with our project today is because we are living in a time that is very much focused on individualism. Individualism in terms of consumerism. So, and maybe our project is trying to talk about the collective as a collective symbol.
Yeah.
I have a question. Like at the start of the seminar, at the lecture, you were talking about the kind of this is more like on a political side, the short thinking American model versus, for instance, the Chinese more long term model.
Yeah.
And then it came to mind like these stages, like, do you know this the spiral model? If you're familiar with that one.
Hegel spiral.
What's that?
Was it Hegel you were talking about? Or?
Like the stages of what you might say community. Think of like the blue stage, or like the more business orange stage, and like the green stage, like social justice warrior stage, like a cliche. But then you can kind of transcend this and kind of make a synergy, if you know what I'm.
I don't know exactly the formal you are, but
I can't remember the people like the authors of this, but it is kind of that reminded me kind of maybe it's possible to make a synthesis that is more long-term thinking, but still it's not kind of maybe like green thinking is kind of naive maybe, but you can still make a synergy.
A holistic approach.
Evolutionistic approach, like in a cultural, like the cultural stages. And I was wondering if this has kind of influence, like maybe what's the ideal state? Well, maybe there is a development in how to get to the ideal state in a way.
I think this is a very interesting question because to me, if I understand you correctly, you're posing the question also about whether there is a progression in history.
Yeah.
You know, whether we can see history as a progressive.
Yeah. And is it possible to learn from history, like they're talking about yellow blood systems thinking? Systems thinking is what they. I also think it's an ideal as far as I'm concerned anyway, but maybe that's not the case.
But what is very interesting is that this book, Platonic Republic, eller Staten for Norske, we found out that this is the third most read book in the world after the Bible and the Quran.
What was the second one?
The Quran.
Yeah.
Quran.
Yeah.
So that means, because we are also using this book because it's the first one in our Western tradition that actually asks what is a good society, or exactly what is a just society. And we still haven't figured it out. And let's say, so we're still going back to this book that is posing this question.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a kind of throwing something in the air in relation to
I like to thinking over the, I actually, I've seen, for instance, when I walked past the Fylkekommunehuset, I've seen this kind of a cross access with the crown.
Yeah.
And I think that's very warrior-like. And it's really what we want in our city, like cross access. And I like it better, for instance, the beehive. For instance, it's more peaceful. So I like that, like the heraldry, kind of maybe association automatically with war and fighting. And it's a coat of arms, so automatically kind of get the war association. But then when I was beehive on the, I like that you can use heraldry for more like artistic and heraldry.
Because the conclusion.
I don't know if that was hear it.
No, but thank you. The conclusion of the 2-year project with over 80 events is, as far as I learned, that the majority wants to have a society where we are together like this more often, no? And that we keep our human characters and not become more and more like productive. Maybe you can conclude yourself in better terminology.
Yeah, so I don't know, because also this is like our reading. We will try to publish a book with some of the answers that I will be anonymous. So, but just to recap, the answers are usually answers to what we call the survey. So we talk to people individually and we ask them what their dreams and visions are for a better society or a better state. So some people answer in 2 minutes and others take longer. And then we produce this based on the answers. So in our reading, 80% of the people say that they want more places to be together. So we read it as people want more humanity, more of the human, and probably less of the machine, less of the computer, less of IT, less of kind of more empty spaces. They want spaces that are filled probably with spontaneity and maybe mistakes and love and hate, instead of these more secluded and safe places of the internet and some architectures that surround us more and more. They are very hygienic, very clean, and a lot of security, a lot of cameras, there's not space for humanity. So that's 80% of people in Norway.
Yeah, they say it they often talk about this in different ways, approaching it. They talk about trust, they talk about less communication on social media, some people say that. Other people say more concrete meeting places in real life. And there was a girl we talked to a couple of days ago that in her early 20s maybe, that said it would be really nice if it was stuereint å sjekke opp noen på busstoppet. To be able to, instead of using Tinder and these apps, to actually flirt at the bus stop. This would be socially acceptable thing to do. So it comes out in different ways.
Many people have more questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do anybody have a question or? Yeah.
I have because there was a misunderstanding all the way through your talking. You consequently called it the Norwegian national state, but it says actually the ideal state in the project. So nobody commented on that mistake. So I thought, is there a difference between the ideal state and the national state? Or is it the same?
That's a very tricky question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the name, it doesn't matter. The name is in Norwegian, Norske, Idealstaten. And in English, with the original Idealstaten. Yeah. So again, we're about the coat of arms, about the context. So as long as people want to talk about community, not about individuals, then if they want to talk about the communa or the Bibliotek or their neighborhood, if they want to talk about the national state, there are different ways. So we don't want to argue. So we just want to talk about something constructively.
Yeah, I want the idea of
if they want to use the word society, it's fine.
I think it is also very interesting because it's your interpretation in a way of the project. So you were giving it your interpretation, and it's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's true. The name is, it says the word experiments. So you can read it as positive evidence.
Yeah, but I guess you can fill everything with whatever you want. It's like going, if you want to date somebody on the bus stop, or flirt with somebody at the bus stop, or on Tinder, or watch. I mean, it's up to you what you decide how to do things. And it's, the national states can not necessarily be somebody at the top ordering everybody around. I mean, we can organize ourselves the way we decide together. And I guess that's why you're bringing up these coat of arms also, because we can fill the images on top of them the way we want. Nothing has to be in a certain way just because it has been like that before.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is really the main ambition of the project. We did a performance for a pub open like 4 years ago or something. And it was Agnes and me standing and sitting somewhere with two signs. One sign said rent and the other one said plikt.
Plikt?
Plikt.
Yeah.
And rent, or rent. So yeah, I think that the project wants to say that there is agency and everything that exists is something that we've made. So if you are a religious person, I guess that maybe you would say that that's not the case, that God made everything. But if you are not a religious person, then for us it's important to think that we are responsible. So we have the rights that we have agreed to achieve. So in order to achieve rights, we need to have responsibilities and business. So it's just, it's basically talking about religions. Yes, we can't change if we want. And yes, what exists now as a society is something that we have all built together today and throughout the history of humanity.
And can we imagine having a symbol that we can be together behind the symbol? Yeah. That's also a question, using the symbol.
Yeah.
Or the context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not really the symbol, but the
So on the note of imagination, my last question is a quite funny one. Well, not funny, but fun. I want you to try and visualize the ideal artist for yourself and for society, let's say 10 years from now. How is she? Or him?
Actually, I can tend to ask people in the public what they would like for art or contemporary artists to be like, or contemporary artwork to be like. But I don't know if people can make that question. Because we are looking into answers about how can art be relevant to society. And as we did this project was just to go and listen to what people had to say about their society. Then we are here to listen. If people have something to say about what arts they would like to see.
So you throwing the question over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you first have to have an idea of what makes a better society. Then you can use art to deliver that message.
So that means that at least you think that there's a place for art.
And comedy, theater, you have to have a message beforehand. You know,
So you think that the art has is the carrier? Yeah.
And if I ask, like, if people see a difference between art and entertainment, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think art is more, it makes you think, like entertainment, just to escape. Art can have a transformative effect. So if you, like, for me, if I see sometimes a satire show, which is goes deeper than just basic, shallow entertainment, you know, it's kind of, it's funny, but it's kind of got that bite also that makes you think, kind of, okay, I can see my own folly in a way. Maybe learn a bit from
Yeah. To mirror yourself. Yeah.
what's that?
Yeah, to mirror, to hold up a mirror.
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah. And it can hold up, like good satire, for example, can hold up a mirror to society as well. And I think if often that is misunderstood. For example, we had like the comedian some years ago, and I think sometimes he went a bit far, but all in all, I think it was a good comedian. It's not just shallow stuff; it actually says something, and puts a mirror up to society, but in a slightly poignant way, you know, slightly sharp way. So that can easily be misunderstood, but often if you're making a nuanced point, that is very easily understood, especially in these days, which is very like correct. You have to be very careful, I feel.
Yeah.
More so now than before, which I think is not a good thing, but was not a good. So yeah, I think art more than entertainment has the ability to transform or to initiate, to be like contribution to the debate. Yeah, yeah. So it's deeper than entertainment. It makes you think, you know. It's more valuable, yeah, than entertainment.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm not sure what art will be or society will be in 10 years, except that it will be different. I don't know whether it will be a he or she or a hen producing art. It might be an it. I mean, artificial intelligence will be pervasive in 10 years in ways we can't really fathom today. Yeah.
That's a great observation. That would not be accepted as an answer for the ideal state. I think that this is a lot of this project is about that. And what is very curious is that the answers were about that. But it would not be accepted because we have just one condition when we talk to people, and it is that people have to be positive. So can I ask you to be positive?
If you like wildness, that's positive, because future will be wilder than it is now.
No, but so, because you are saying, or at least what I understood from what you said is kind of like it or not, this is what's going to happen. So what can we do to not let things happen, but to take control? You don't need to ask.
Yeah, because this is actually a very important thing to say, that really changes the conversations in our review is that in this project, the Norske Idealstaten, it's not allowed to complain. Ingen klager. It's we are usually starting by saying, okay, now we know that there are lots of things we are unhappy with. Now when we're finished complaining about all these things, then what that means we have to want something that is different from all these things. And there is something. So what is that? What is it that we want to project in front of us so that we can try to make decisions in order to get a little bit closer to that?
Yeah.
This is the kind of premise.
So your answer could be reformulated probably like, I want to have a. Do you have the answer?
To make it positive?
Yes.
Yes. Artificial intelligence in cooperation with people is highly positive, I think. It's a new way of exploring possibilities.
Okay, so you are positive about it.
Yes.
Ah, I misunderstood. You will have to convince 80% of the population.
Any other questions that you have about the project in general?
Yeah.
I was wondering what main things from the Republic by Plato that influenced you. What were the main points of the book, would you say? Or was it like on the whole, or Plato was a philosopher on the whole?
Yeah, I think both is the idea of believing in human agency, in being able to master your own future and be responsible for that.
Yeah.
Sorry to disagree, but not to give it up to computers or bosses or elites or gods that say, I am responsible for this. And being positive about it. And say, the idea of justice, I think, is very important. So it's not better in any way. What is the ideal state? Plato asks, not what is better, what is more profitable, how can I make more money, but how can I have a society that is more just. Hence, there you have, for instance, one of the first feminists, right, creating an equal society for women and men. But then took centuries very recently, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe, in Switzerland, a country that we most people admire very much, the right to vote for women, I think it came only in the 70s, like full right to vote for women. So we are talking about the very recent history of political equality for women and men, right?
You mean the 90s?
In the 1970s, yeah. If I am not mistaken, Switzerland, yeah. So Norway, as we know, was before France vote, and so was the Soviet Union. I think that maybe you wanted to say something. No?
I had a question about what's going on in Ålvik, which presented Ålvik and almost the whole village, because that's a very special place.
Yes.
So I think that will fit very well in this.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe can be a little bit more.
Yes.
You are very abstract, so
Yeah.
so maybe we can have some examples. More what influenced you in Ålvik?
I think it's a very interesting question, and we were very, very, very happy to be able to work in Ålvik. Also because one of the first things that struck
Maybe we should
us.
say what.
Ålvik is a little village that is not far from. It's in Kvam.
It's very important. It's an old industrial.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's one of the typical one of these villages that were built. So it's like in Norway in a nutshell, because the village was built up around a waterfall. there was a waterfall, and there was built a factory next to this waterfall because there you can have power. So you see the waterfall, and you see the factory, and the village is built by an architect that was hired by the company to build houses for the workers. So it's very specific. And also in Hardanger, there is all about farming and apple trees and natural romantic landscapes. You have this industrial place. And the people in Norway are now very concerned. They've created a group that is called Offentlige Idealstaten, because they are seeing something that is happening all across the country, is that there is a move to centralize kind of social services and all the things that we need to have a kind of okay life in our everyday lives. So they don't have the fire brigade anymore. They don't have there's 1 or 2 ambulances in the whole of Kam that is very long distances. So this winter there was an old woman that fell on the ice and she had to lay on the ice for 1 hour for the ambulance. There is a fire brigade because the factory has to have a fire brigade, so they are sharing it with the community, the same with
and when we were there was a fight over the swimming pool because we were going to lose the swimming pool that had been built by the factory many years ago. So they wanted to close it down to open up a very expensive swimming pool in West. But then they have to travel, right? The children have to go take public transport to get there.
They saved it, but that was a communal effort that the people in Offentlige themselves decided, okay, we will all pay a little bit and we will all contribute with some work to keep this local community alive. So when we came with this project, they appropriated it for themselves, let's say, and said, you're giving us a platform to communicate, and we also want to hear what your experiences are when you travel to other places in the country, if there are similar challenges. Because they feel also that they're quite special in Hardanger, but they are actually, from what we understand, they're not that special. There are many places that are struggling with the same problems. Even if, yes, they are special. Is this kind of answer, or?
No, because all this I know before.
Yeah.
So you just tell me about Offentlige, but what about the art and how do you mobilize? Or what you bring back? What did you bring back? Or did you bring something back?
Well, I
Or
think
did the people look upon themselves in another way after you have talked to them?
Like that, I don't know if people changed because of that or not. It did change us a lot, and it helps us communicate to other people we communicate with. And we are going to produce artwork that is going to include experiences that we had in Walvik that were very intense. We were there for 2 weeks, and we talked to pretty much everybody. So we went to the schools, and we talked to all the children who were going to the school. Then we went to the place for elderly people to talk to them, and then we went to several other events.
Well, I think there is one thing we can say though, in general, because we are not used to be able to express ourselves always so much, or that somebody is listening. We are used to having to listen to politicians or whatever. And us coming with this project in this way is also perhaps there's a level of legitimization that what they are communicating reaches somewhere. And this project goes on and is exhibited also and will be a book. But like Rolf was saying, this second part of the project, which is even if we can show you some images of artwork now, this is still ongoing. So what is the plan is to go back to with artwork, which we haven't done yet. So then we will have some more answers, I guess. This is a very important part that we cannot really talk about because it's not to a very great extent yet.
it's an impressive project you have. Very humbling. Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you something about the workshop that you might not know. And that is that actualizes actually our use of it. It is not only an archived form, or maybe that's why, because the Norwegian authorities, Kommune- og Moderniseringsdepartementet, decided from the 1st of January 2018 that Norway is no longer bound by the heraldic traditions and laws. So that means that when we are discussing new våpenskjold for Offentlige, we could actually erupt with anything. It can be anything. There's heraldic traditions and they don't apply. Of course, we can choose to relate to them, but we don't have to. So, just this, because there has not really been a public discussion around it, I think it's quite interesting that it's in that.
So it's all up to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think the time is 7 minutes past. So if nobody is sitting there with a question who will not sleep tonight if they don't get it out, we will end it. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for inviting. Or maybe you should, you're the one that should thank.
Yeah, thank you for coming and staying, even if the talk was probably a little bit more abstract than what you expected. We'll be here for a few minutes if you want to talk to us. Thanks to Bibliotek for hosting us. Thank you very much to Gitte Sætre for being here. And thanks to all of you.